We are Cactus Wrestling. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.
Welcome back to Cactus Wrestling. We are midway through the 23-24 NCAA wrestling season, and we have an updated rankings on 125 pounds, the messiest of messiest weight classes that we've
It's a
seen in quite
festering
some
turd.
time.
I've said it before.
I think 125 is perfectly normal.
Perfectly normal.
Yeah, it's just
And
exactly
it's totally-
going exactly to chalk, you know?
It's totally normal for there to be like 20 plus guys that could all be equally able and capable of winning a national title.
People don't realize Spencer Lee was actually doing a service by winning all the time because otherwise we'd have to deal with this.
Especially with Penn State being absolutely doo-doo at this weight class year after year.
I think Braden Davis could break it, could be good this year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but he's still
Getting the
technically
nod?
redshirting.
Yeah, well, it's unrelated to this video, but I think that they're gonna redshirt Braden Davis just because they're like, look, like we're gonna win without him. So why not just give him the other career to develop? But
right.
That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Well, let's see how the chips have fallen after another wild weekend of NCAA wrestling. I'll do I don't know, first
10, 5.
first 10. Yeah. There we go. First 10.
10.
So feel free to disagree with me, by the way.
I won't.
No, I totally agree with Figs because
he hasn't done.
Yeah, Figs. I mean, who is he being?
Last year he beat. I don't know if you guys remember. Last year he beat Matt Ramos, so that was pretty cool.
Last year, you don't rank based of last year's.
Yeah, last year he was real good, and then he's wrestled 4 times this year, and he's only won twice.
Yeah, don't you remember last year when he was?
So Braden Palmer, frequent commenter on the channel. Hopefully he's not injured too bad, but he took a loss by injury.
I mean, he finished the match pretty much. Like the injury, it looked like where he like
happened at the end of it.
The wrestle was with like a second to go. And it was hard for me to tell exactly what the injury was, or if it was something that happened earlier in the match that then just got worse at the end there. But I mean, it broke his undefeated streak.
Yeah. Yeah, he was one of like 4 undefeated guys up until this past weekend. Jet Strickenberger. How about West Virginia? I mean, that is a program on the rise.
Yeah.
He beat Steve O'Poulin, who had a very big win over Nico Provo at the Midlands. But he's taken, so he lost to a D3 guy this past weekend. He lost to Klinsky of Ryder. So some sites don't even have him in the top 20 anymore. Yeah. But the win over Poulin and Brandon Kaler too.
Well, and does that mean he lost to Spock, who was D3?
Yeah. But it doesn't technically count, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't count as a loss for him because of it's not the same division, but still.
So Jacob Camacho is an interesting one because he beat Matt Ramos, but then he took 3 losses in the same day. Maybe he was sick.
2 of them were pins though, too.
Yeah, I don't know if you can claim sick. It's not like he wrestled
bad. I thought he got pinned twice.
No.
I'm pretty sure he only got pinned once.
No, you're thinking NC State got back to back to back.
Oh yeah,
that was they had the triple pin. That was it.
Yeah.
Which cost them the duel to Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. That was not a really good move.
How about that? Like Camacho on most of the ranking sites went from number 1 to the teens.
Yeah,
like in
he lost
a day.
I think he lost to one of the guys he lost. I think 1 or 2 of the guys he lost to were like unranked.
Anderson, like number 30 or something.
Yeah, and then Macron's not ranked that high. I mean, Noto was the best guy that he lost to.
What was funny is, and someone commented this, they're like, oh, Camacho had ducked previously. This was probably the weekend he would have wanted to duck.
Yeah, this is where he'd still be ranked number 1 had he not wrestled.
He did not wrestle at CKLV. Just saying. So Pat McKee and Michael DiAugustino, former All-Americans. Pat McKee, he lost to Drake Ayala. this past weekend at the Soldier Salute.
Yeah, big win for Drake.
Yeah, and you guys may or may not agree with where I have Drake. He is in the top, I guess, 9. Spoiler alert.
We'll see what happens.
And D'Agostino, I don't know if he's still like he got injured by Unger. He hasn't wrestled in a while, so hopefully he'll be back up and ready to go for postseason.
I mean, I would probably have him currently ranked lower because he lack of matches. Like just kind of like Figueroa, like until you're proving yourself knocking off good guys, like. But that's just me.
It's tough this year because like there's I mean, not on the lower end of this list, but there's a lot of like really good guys that are not getting matches. I mean, I think of Colton Schultz, for example, from Arizona State, probably going to All-American again this year. And I don't think he's wrestled yet. I think he's making his debut like next weekend.
Well, Carter
So,
Strachey 4-0 on the season.
Yeah,
Levi
sure,
Haines
yeah.
5-0. Dayton
Yeah.
Fix 2-0.
Dayton Fix. Yeah, I mean he's
Fix was hurt for a bit.
Yeah,
know,
I
but,
remember them
like-
saying that. And that's again, they called out who did they call out? Because they were like, oh, Dayton Fix is ducking. Who was he supposed to?
Oh, he
Lee.
was supposed to wrestle
From
Crookham.
Lehigh Crookham. And then
Yeah.
John Smith was like, yeah, he goes, we're not ducking, he goes, because we would beat him anyway. And it's like, okay, well, that's really easy to say when you don't
We're
wrestle.
not ducking, but yeah, no, we're not gonna actually
He's
wrestle.
like, we would have won, so I'm not really that worried. It was his like, not his word for word, but it's like, dude, like you
I
can't
kind of
talk
want
smack if
Crookham
you
to
avoid
run
wrestling.
into Fix at NCAAs and beat him. Like now I want that to happen.
It's like slapping someone and running away and then be like, oh yeah, that dude was a punk. It's like, dude, like,
Yeah, he was the punk.
you ran away.
So Brandon Kaler's next at number 14. He's beaten Ayala. He's beaten
been
Jory
all over the
Volk,
place.
Tanner Jordan, but he's got some tougher losses
Interesting losses, yeah.
of Strickenberger, Moore of UNC, Caleb Smith, and Brett Unger. So some decent losses, some decent wins.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's right there in the mix. But
It's kind of tough to like. I can't really put him that much higher because the number of losses, but at least
Yeah.
quality losses. Brett Unger's right above him because he lost
That's the head-to-head.
to Unger.
Okay.
Jack Maida, he beat Eddie Ventresca, who's not the starter anymore, and
that's because he
Braxton
also got injured.
Brown.
Ventresca's hurt.
Right, but he is undefeated,
Yep.
so I think that warrants at least higher ranking, even though his quality of competition hasn't been as high. But he's beaten
Impressive.
everyone he's wrestled.
Impressive he's doing it too, wrestling for like American U, which is like not a well-known wrestling school. So like that's pretty cool.
Borshoff would argue with you.
That's
Oh.
true.
You could argue with me.
2-time All-American. That's when American was like,
That's when
top
they were
10 school.
That's when they had
Yeah.
also Terrell.
yeah. Well, Terrell was my year.
Yeah, oh yeah, well, yeah. So yeah, was Borshoff might have been teammates with him.
Maybe. And then number 11, Jory Volk. So Volk's got some good wins. He beat
didn't crack top
Figueroa,
10, huh?
beat Caleb Smith, Brandon Kaler, Brandon McCrone, Troy Spratley. He's lost to Provo. He's lost to Drake Ayala, Noah Certain, and Brandon Kaler. So like all those losses are pretty quality.
Yeah.
So
But yet that doesn't earn him a top 10 showing here, huh?
well, when you see the top 10, you'll see why. Like it's just insane how crazy this weight is. So we'll go top 6 to 11 here, or 6 to 10. Steve O'Poulin is number 10. He beat Nico Provo by a point
Yeah.
at
Big win
Midland.
there.
So that's a big win, but that loss to Strickenberger is like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how do you? And Provo is up here at number 7. Look at his hit list: Ramos, Volk, Tirakina, Anderson, Brett Unger, Conrad Hendrickson. And his only losses are to Poulin and Cooper Flynn.
Right. Yeah, I feel like Provo could be higher, arguably, but
The recent loss to Steve-O is very fresh. It's a recency bias.
Yeah.
But
and it was
true.
only a 1-point match. It literally could have gone either way.
And
Yeah.
Steve-O is not on track to be getting almost 40 matches like last year.
yeah.
Ramos, however, could be well on his way.
Well, I looked at
Yeah.
it because I was interested. Penn State has 10 dual meets for the rest of the season.
Oh, so these
So-
guys are going to be like 14-0.
If they wrestle every dual meet.
Right. At
We all
best.
know that that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So Dean Peterson, he's undefeated, but
Rutgers hasn't competed more, or is it just him?
he just who?
Rutgers hasn't competed more.
I don't know. I don't
Rutgers has had a few duels. I know. I don't think they've done a ton of tournaments though.
Mm.
I feel
Well,
like
there aren't really that many tournaments left until
Yeah.
conference.
I feel like
so
some select guys they don't compete in tournaments.
bizarre.
I don't know what it is. But he's undefeated. And he was a round of 12 guy. I know we don't necessarily rank off of last year's performance, but
It's undefeated.
he's undefeated. So
Undefeated, yeah, and he beat a guy that's wouldn't even be ranked in the top 20.
right. So
That's it.
Matt Ramos number 8. Caleb Smith and Provo, those are quality losses, but Camacho being at 17, that really brings him down a little bit.
Yeah.
Like
Camacho
at the
before
time,
was-
the Camacho loss.
Yeah, well, Camacho was very good at the time, but he had, he
Yeah,
dropped
like-
the ball.
That's the whole thing with rankings. It's like, oh, at the time he was number 1. That's why Camacho was number 1, was because he beat Ramos.
Ramos, yeah.
But was he really the number 1 guy? Probably not.
Guess we'll
Who
find
knows?
out in
I mean,
March.
maybe come NCAAs, he'll be
Yeah.
finding his way to the top.
So we were
Probably
about to
not.
do this a week ago. I had Noah Certain as number 2, and then the dual meet with
Cooper
Virginia
Flynn.
Tech happens, and he loses to Cooper Flynn, and I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
because he was undefeated, but now he's got a loss.
Unfortunate for him. Didn't he get pinned?
No,
I thought Certain got pinned by Flynn.
no, Latona got pinned by Cade Moore.
Hmm.
Anyway, number 5, Cooper Flynn. How
Okay.
about Lehigh though? Stanek,
Stanich is a red shirt.
red shirt. Like, are they gonna pull his red shirt like
They've
Crickle?
got a lot of talent there.
Because he also beat Eric Barnett, who's number 4.
Wow, you got Barnett at 4?
Well, he beat Cooper Flynn. He's 13-2.
Two-time
Cooper Flynn's
All-American.
got this big hit list. Like, how are you supposed to do this? I don't know.
Two-time All-American too, which helps.
Well, I mean, with all of these guys having lost to each other, it does muddy the waters some.
Like Terrakina, okay, I get it. That is a really bad loss. But Stanek, he's a redshirt. Like, if he was a starter, he could be a top 5 guy. We don't know. He beat 2 top 5 guys this past weekend.
Man,
I'm
making a name for himself right out the gate.
I'm happy for Cooper Flynn. I mean, I remember we talked about him in the U23 video. And we're like, yeah, that's really cool, but like, he's gonna be a backup. And now here he is, like,
He's gonna be a backup.
So, number 3, Drake Ayala. Maybe a little
We'll find
high.
Yeah, that's I feel like higher than I would have put him.
But remember, like the loss of Brandon Kaler, I'm pretty sure he just gave that up in the last 5 seconds. And I get a loss is a loss, but I think if
that's
they
only his
wrestle
first
again,
loss. Yeah.
if they wrestle again, that doesn't happen.
He's got more wins than a lot of guys on the board. I mean, he's only got the 1 loss. He has almost, he's got 9 wins.
He's beaten Jory Volk, he's beaten Pat
Yeah.
McKee. Like, I don't know. It's like I said, there's no good way of doing this.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Number 2, Caleb Smith,
Whoa.
13-1. His only losses to Jory Volk, who has a really big hit list
Interesting
in
hit
his own
list.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Volk has wrestled the most guys that are getting ranked. Like,
That's why I wanted him to be a little bit higher, but it's like, how do you rank a guy so high with 4 losses?
He's going to be battle
he's
tested.
the most
though.
battle tested.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyone.
It'll help him out once it comes to nationals that he's already seen a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
And then number 1, Anthony Noto, undefeated, technically has a loss against Matt Ramos, which makes this even funnier because everyone's beatable in this way because the Ramos was the All-Star Classic. He hasn't really been tested. He beat Camacho. and he beat Bergink. He took fourth last year, but I don't know. He's undefeated this year, technically still. So
Yeah, I
that's the
mean,
way I
like
see it.
you look at these rankings, you got 15 and 16 is two multi-time All-Americans. Like, it's such a crapshoot this weight.
So I want to ask you guys, because this will be fun in 2.5 months when we look back on it. I want you to predict what is going to be the national finals at this weight class and who do you have winning it?
Ooh.
And comment down below, who do you think is going to be the national finals and who's winning this weight class as of January 3rd, the day that we are filming this? I have mine if you want me to start.
Give me just another few seconds here.
So, for pure comedic purposes, I am going with Anthony Noto versus Steve O'Poulin because those are two NC State transfers that couldn't get the winning spot over Jacob Camacho. I just think that would be hilarious justice to NC State. And like, wow, we had both of these guys on our roster and we let them both transfer out for this other guy that we stuck with. And I'm gonna pick Steve-O to win.
Steve-O to win.
Interesting.
That's not how I would have gone with that, but okay.
I know. Mike, do you want to go? Or you want me to go?
You sounds like you're ready, so go for it.
I'm gonna go Jax Forrest versus Braden Davis.
Jax Forrest.
With Jax being like, you know what? I'm just too good. And he comes to
high school sophomores coming out for the NCAA
I think he was on Twitter saying any more
he said he's like
open
he's
tournaments left.
Yep. He was asking for open tournaments and people were like, oh, you should come to this one. And it was like a D2 tournament. He's like, oh, I'm pretty okay.
I'm okay without that.
On my real prediction, similar to Jack, I'm going because of the entertainment value. I want to see Nico Provo versus Jacob Camacho for all Connecticut NCAA finals. I think that they both have the ability to jump back to that top level. I think both guys have been ranked number one by various sites throughout the season. I could definitely see them elevating their game all the way back to that top portion. And I would go with Nico Provo to win it.
Wow. Look at you.
He's got a good top game. I could see maybe catching Jacob just like he caught him, just like Jacob was caught in the last match when he got pinned.
Okay. I'm just shooting from the hip here. My gut is going with Noto on Volk. No comedic value, sorry.
Only seriousness.
But I would think Noto would beat Volk. Wyoming's good at getting a guy in the finals and then not winning.
That is true.
So
yeah, there you have it. Those are the Cactus Wrestling 125-pound midseason rankings. What's going to happen with this weight class? It's been super fun to watch so far.
You could switch the rankings from 1 to 20 and go 20 to 1 and it'd be like, yeah, it's fairly accurate.
Yeah, there's an argument for so many guys to be number one, like Dean Peterson. Yeah, he's undefeated. Why not? He should be number one.
Yeah.
Jack Maida, he's undefeated. He should be number one.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, drop your comments down below and let us know who's gonna win 125 pounds. And then check back, like if you're, in a few months from now, see how silly we were with our predictions because, Brandon Kaler beats Braden Davis in the finals.
Thanks for watching. We are Cactus Wrestling, and we'll see you next time on our next video.